Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So my name is Sunil, and I am from Mumbai. I have completed my BTech from MIT. Okay, and then I joined the company as a fresher hiring over there only. Then I have around three plus years of experience, and right now I am working in the automation testing project. Over there, my role and responsibility is to identify the test cases for the automation, developing the methods for repeating step like the manual tasks we do, writing the script and executing the test case, and also while writing the script we need to debug. So basically I do that also, and preparing the automation script with the help of Java and Selenium. And the framework we I have used in our project is the TestNG framework basically. Okay, we do testing for regression and reviewing the test scripts and all the supports we required. Also I have basic knowledge on the Cucumber, okay, BDD framework, how it works. And also I know the few of basic parts of the we can say that Jenkins, and also the REST API testing and the functional testing I know. And somewhere I am also guiding my junior as well, helping purpose, and also attending the daily Scrum meetings. Okay, that's all like I have doing till now in the 3+ years of experience.
Okay, so can you explain me the OPS concepts?
Yes, sure. So, object oriented programming, the four pillars are basically inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, and abstraction. So, in which inheritance, what happens is like basically we have a relationship between the parent child relationship. We basically create two classes, and if I want to, just extend or acquire some property from the other class, then I need to extend. So extend keyword is used for the inheritance. And then we have a polymorphism basically useful for it is a runtime and compile time polymorphism are there. So basically that will be helpful for method overloading and overriding purposes we use in our project. And then we have encapsulation. Encapsulation is something which we require or need for the data protection, like the variable protection, or we can say that the method protection with the help of public access specifiers. Okay, and then lastly we have abstraction. Abstraction is something which we usually use to only showing the what different methods we are using, not exactly what kind of body or the implementation part is there. So that's all the four oops pillars we can say that.
What is the constructor? Can you explain me the types of constructor?
Yes, so basically a constructor is basically of two types. And first of all, constructor, the name of the constructor is same as the class name. It does not return any type. Okay, it does not return any value, and it does not have any access specifier as well. So basically at the time when we create the class, and when we also create the constructor is basically useful to just what we can say that the object creation. I mean, when the constructor gets executed, the object is gets created. That time the constructor will invoke. And there are two types of constructor is there, like default constructor and the parameterized constructor. Default constructor is also we can say that the no argument constructor, because we are not passing any argument in that. And in the parameterized constructor, what will happen is like, suppose we can put or just pass the parameters like integer values or the integer string values, or kind of mixture we can do with the help of parameterized constructor. And also I have not used personally, but I know as a theory point of view, like we have a copy constructor as well. But yes, again this comes under the types of constructor, that's what I told, like, but I have never used in my project and at my level.
Okay, so can we implement two interfaces? Is it possible?
So implementing multiple interfaces. two interfaces. So yes, it is possible, like we can have one class and we can implement the two interfaces, but it is possible with the help of interface only, and the implements keyword we need to use. Okay, and suppose two interface we want to implement in one class, then we need to separate it. We can separate both of them with the help of comma. So yes, that is possible, and with the help of separated comma value we can implement more than one interface at the class level.
Can you tell me, can abstract class have a final private modifier? Is it possible, like abstract class we have, and it should have like the modifier as final private? Is it possible?
Abstract class. So what I am thinking of, like if we have abstract class, then that abstract class, it does not have that implementation, right? So the methods which we make it as in the abstract class, that needs to be that are only the declaration, not the body part is there. So if we add like final or private modifier to that particular like class level, then it is not possible, because it will not be useful, and also it is not accessible. So we can do one thing, we can make it as the modifier as public or protected. So somehow it should be, we can get the access of that particular abstract class and we can utilize it. But if we are making as a final or private modifier, then it is of no use, and it will not work like that also. So yeah, it is not possible.
Can you tell me the difference between this and super keyword?
So yes, this keyword is basically used for like whatever we need to represent, like it is the current instant of a class. Suppose I am using this keyword with the variable, that it shows that it is a current instant of that class. And if I am using the super keyword, which will represent as the current instant of parent class. Okay, that is the difference one. And also this keyword is basically used to call the default constructor of the same class, whereas the super keyword used to call the default constructor of parent class. So that is also the one of the biggest difference. Also method level accessibility, if I am talking about, then this keyword is used to access the method of a current class, as it has the reference of current class, right? And on the other hand, on the super, one can access the method of parent class, right? We can access the methods of parent class with the help of super keyword. So that is the difference. Like 2-3 differences I know, like the importance and the usage of this and super keyword.
What is the difference between length and length method in Java? Can you explain me?
Yeah, so basically the length method, which comes under like it is a part of like a string. So like whenever we need to count the number of characters, we use the length method. Okay, which will be applicable in the string object. So it will give us the number of character present in that string. And other hand, we have a length, which is again it is a final variable which is comes under in array. So with the help of length variable, we can obtain the size of array. So basically when we need a size of array, then we will go for array.length. And when we need the number of character present in that string, then that time we will go for the string.length method. So that is the difference, like where these two things are used.
Can you tell me what is the difference between final and finally?
Yeah. So final is basically we use up to apply some restriction at the method level or the variable level or the class level. Suppose I am making some class as a final, then that class cannot be inherited, like some other class cannot be with the help of extend keyword use that particular class. Or if suppose I am applying the final at the method level, then it cannot be overridden. So if the method is at make it as a final, then we cannot override that method. and if suppose I am making the final as variable, then it cannot be changed. Okay, so that is the use of final. And finally is basically it comes under in exceptions, like where we have a try and catch, and also we have a finally. So suppose some code are there in the try block, and if it does not get executed, then it will go under the catch block, right? Irrespective of the code which is present in the try block, either it executes successfully or not, the catch will again it will work based on the what reaction or the response is given by the try block, but the finally block will always be executed, or whatever the things are there in the finally block, it will get executed. So finally block is basically useful for closing the connection and to preventing from the data leakage or the connection, like whenever we do such thing like connection or the DB connection, that time finally very important we need to use to close the connection of from the DB side or the anything. So yes, that is the difference. Okay, so as you talked about the try catch block, the exception, can you tell me what is the supermost class for error and exception? Yeah, so in the exception, like error and exception, the super class is just a second. It's a throwable. Yeah, it's a throwable class, which is the super class of all the exception error we have. So yes, so throwable class is there. Can you tell me why we are writing like web driver equals to new Chrome driver or new Firefox driver? Why can't we write like this Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver? So instead of using the like other thing web driver, why we cannot write like this? Yeah, so basically both the ways true, and we can write like Chrome driver equals to new Chrome driver, or the Firefox driver equals to new Firefox driver. But why we are using the WebDriver instance to initialize or create the object of Chrome driver or the Firefox driver? Because what happen is, when we take the reference of WebDriver, so WebDriver is basically the interface, right? So it contain a lot of methods, okay, as compared to the respective classes which are there, like Chrome driver. These are the classes basically. So Chrome driver, Firefox driver, IE driver, these are the classes. It contains a less number of methods and the common methods. So but in the WebDriver, it contains a lot of common methods which will or the things are present in the WebDriver interfaces, which will be useful for, suppose in the same script only I need to use two different browser, okay, for parallel testing or some sort of thing, then I can utilize the WebDriver and I can use both the I can use at the both the end, right? But if I'm writing like Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver, then I'm myself restricting to utilize more on the methods, and the classes are there, static methods, so I'm restricting somewhere. So that's why we are using like driver equals to new Chrome driver. What is tail element exception? Have you come across any time tail element exception? Yes, so I do come across this tail element exception while executing my script. So basically what happens, like suppose we have elements, okay, like text box or anything is there on my web page, but the script is already written over there, but at the time of executing that script, I am getting that tail element exception. So what happened is like that particular element is previously like the locator value, like the XPath or the ID value is present, but what happened like the particular element, it is not now present on the DOM, document object model. So it might be the reason, like it goes it got deleted from that document object model, okay, or the value is not presented on that DOM, whether XYZ reason it may be possible. So at that time, like stale element exception we generally got. So like the element previously it is present, but now it is not present on the DOM, so that's why we get this stale element exception.
What is the difference between action and actions? So one where is the S is not there and at the last S is there. So what is the difference between them?
Okay, so basically action which does not contain S it, and the end, it is an interface basically which will useful for the single user interaction, where I need to interact in a single handed only. So that time the action interface we basically use, okay, and it mostly uses the there is one method, perform method is there, which we can use to find out the single interaction with the action interface, okay. At the other end we have actions, S is there, it is a class basically. So suppose I need to interact with the system or the web page, where I need to perform the complex gestures, like I need to drag and drop something, I need to double click on it, I need to do some sort of action which required more than one interaction, basically we can say that. So that time the actions class is there which we can use, basically. So that is the difference between them.
What is @data provider annotation? Can you explain me a bit about data provider?
Yes, so basically a data provider is useful, to take the data from some file, or the like Excel file we have, or the property file, okay. So we use generally @data provider annotation, where we required a lot of data. I mean, more than one sort of data is there. Like suppose I have 10 username and the password is there, I need to just pass it to my methods, or I can call 10 times different data and then execute my script. That time I require the data provider, okay. Otherwise we can go for the parameters also. @parameter annotation is also there. So in TestNG, @data provider is there, and it return basically a two-dimensional array object, okay. So that will be a very useful like to take a multiple sort of data. So that's why we use a data provider basically.
Which reporting tool you are using in your framework? Can you tell me about what different tool you are using?
Yeah, so basically, as we know, like TestNG provide a lot of features, okay. So it also provide the default reporting, right? We have index.html is there. So while executing our script, it generates the success or passed, we can say that the index.html file and the failed testng.xml file as well, right? So different sort of things are already there, present in the TestNG reporting tool. So most of the time I have used like by default TestNG reporting tool, which directly comes, and sometime I have also implemented in my project like extend reports. So we need to take the dependency from central repository, Maven central repository, and then I need to work on that, and then the extend report is somewhere it is kind of a good UI interaction, or some sort of graphs and all the things are present, right? So that time like we can use the extend report, but I have mostly used the TestNG inbuilt reporting tool only, which is something it provide as a index.html file.
Can you explain me what is the flow of your framework, like the in which you are working? Can you explain me a bit?
Yeah, sure. So like the framework which we are using, it's like we use the design pattern as a page object model, okay. So with the help of page factory also, so we have a separate base classes are there, which is the common thing which we required at the time of loading the URLs and just getting the basic things like username or the password, anything which is a common thing. So that is the base class we required. So we have a base class, and then for every screen, or we can say that every page, web page, we have a .java file is there. So in which we use like we use like page factory annotations are there, like we can go with the @find element, find by, okay, find by is there. And then in this way we can locate our element like username and password thing. So for suppose login screen, I have one .java file, and for registration page, for home page, I have one different Java file is there, right? So that is the one thing. And also we have a separated utilities packages, where like suppose I want to take the screenshot of it, so that is one thing that comes under utility. Then we also have like suppose I need to work with the Excel sheet, to take the data from the Excel. That time also we can write the generics, like in this way we can, common thing we can put it over there also in the utility section. Okay, so these are the things come under the utility. And then we have finally we have what we can say that we have a test packages as well, where we are writing the test cases for every functionality which we require. And yes, so this is the package or the project structure that we follow. And yes, definitely in this way only we are working. Like can I ask you like some question on Cucumber? Is it okay? Yes, sure. No, I know the basics, so you can ask me. Okay. So can you explain me what is dry run in Cucumber? Yeah. Basically, a dry run is, it comes under like we have one annotation @cucumber option. Okay, so in that only we have two things, like in the Cucumber itself, like we have a lot of feature files is there, and accordingly we have a step definition as well, right? So dry run basically it is useful for, to compile the Cucumber feature file and the step definition. And if I get some kind of or some sort of compilation error, then the dry run will show to us, like that is the one thing. So basically which is it is kind of, test only, so where it will give us the like compilation error, or if it is there, otherwise no issue. So that is the basically use of dry run. What is the glue in BDD framework? BDD Cucumber, like why we are using the glue? Okay, so again it is a part of, Cucumber option only, where the glue it is useful to, describe the what exactly the location or the path of the sort of step definition file we have. Like we have feature file and also step definition file, right? So what is the location or the path of the that step definition file, which is, basically given or provided by the glue, so it comes under the Cucumber option. So yeah, that is the glue. Okay, so I'm done from my side. Do you have any questions for me? No, I don't have any question. Like yeah, I'm pretty good with these things. So yes, don't no, I don't have any question. Okay, then bye. Yeah, bye.